Tell me if this sounds familiar. You've been in business for a while, maybe for years. You're really good at what you do. People should be lining up to work with you. And yet you're looking at your numbers and they're just not quite adding up. You are looking at your pipeline and it is looking not so hot. And this whole thing is like, wait, what's going on? Why am I here? Why am I not further along? What's going on? And those thoughts are leading to even deeper thoughts about, wait, I'm just not good enough. Like, I haven't done enough. Maybe I made some mistakes and now I don't deserve to be further along than where I am right now. If I admit this, people are going to think I'm a fraud because I should have it together by now. In fact, just clicking on this video to watch this, a little bit about me talking on this topic might even feel like, wait, am I admitting that I have these feelings, that this is where I am right now? No, I just want to first of all say all of this that I'm describing is really business shame, and it's normal. It's normal, which is why I want to talk about it, because it's not brought up often enough, and yet I experience this. I see this in my colleagues, clients. It's a thing. And we need to, first of all, talk about it to normalize it, but also, secondly, to figure out constructive ways to move through it. So I want to just, first of all, distinguish between shame and embarrassment, because, you can make all kinds of embarrassing things, mistakes and things like that in business. I mean, I've done things like, run a webinar and the whole thing crashed, like right at the beginning. Did all this work to get people there, and then all my tech just like blew up and I wasn't able to show up. That's embarrassing. I've put out all kinds of content before where, that's embarrassing. I have, the first speaking gig I ever had, people started walking out of the room like midway through. It was really bad. That's embarrassing. That's like kind of at a surface level thing, but shame is deeper in. Shame is those feelings that I described earlier about, like, I'm not good enough, I'm a fraud, why aren't I further along than now? What's wrong with me? Like, that's what's underneath all of that. And we need to discuss it. So first of all, why does it happen? Like, why are you maybe currently or in the past have been in this sort of the experience of the shame? Well, first of all, it happens because you are measuring yourself against this fantasy idea of where you think you should be. And that's a result because, first of all, you had a vision, right? You were like, 12 months from now, 6 months from now, 3 years from now, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be doing these things, and you have it all. Maybe you vision boarded it all, you've written it all down, you've journaled about it and stuff, and yet it hasn't come to fruition. And so you're thinking like, wait, what is going on, right? That's one issue. So we're measuring ourselves against the idea that we had for ourselves, a vision. We can also measure ourselves in reverse. Like, maybe you had some incredible successes in the past, and now you're kind of in a sort of normal kind of experience of contraction or reduction, and you're just like, wait a minute, it used to be like this. Why isn't it like that now? So you're measuring yourself either against that future version or a past version. A second reason why this happens is you think everybody else has it all together. Well, I can assure you they don't. And I think you know this intellectually, but just I want you to let that sink in, that not everybody has this figured out. And you've heard this before, but I'll say it again. What people are projecting out there is the best version of themselves, right? Where you see them showing up online in different places and social media, etc. It's going to be the best version of themselves. And you don't know the whole story, right? But yet we still inevitably cycle into these comparison traps, right? It's like everybody else has it all together. So why don't I? Okay. And then a third reason why this is happening is that you think you should know it by now, especially when it comes to marketing, right? And this is a really particularly at issue if you do the kind of work for your clients that you can't seem to figure out for yourself. So if you are in marketing and you're like, why can't I market my business? Or like, why is this not working for me? That's when it feels particularly painful, right? Like I should have it all, know it by now, but not everybody does know it. In fact, I would say the farther along you go, the more you realize that there's a lot you don't know. And that it's just a continual practice, right? Of learning and experimenting and testing things out and just iterating and getting better. And if you're not in a marketer and, in like business development and things like that aren't coming naturally to you, or even messaging, right? Like even if you're a copywriter, it's so hard to do that stuff for yourself. So the other aspect of this is that you're in it. You're too close to all of this to even see it for what it is, to have that distance and objectivity. And so that makes it even harder, right? So there may be a level where you're lacking some of the skills and practical knowledge around that, but there also may be just a lack of distance and objectivity. Okay, so this is why that business shame starts to set in. But now let's talk about the cost of staying in this place. Like we don't want to be in this spiral of shame, because it just, it's a downward spiral, right? So there's obviously the internal consequences of that, of just like feeling bad, feeling, shame it's a terrible feeling, right? And the internal paralysis and beating ourselves up. But then externally, what's happening is, first of all, it might be just avoiding being out amongst people, whether that's formally through marketing endeavors or, more casually through networking, but just the tendency to pull back and just be in kind of that retracted, contracted state is very common. And yet that's absolutely what we don't want to do. If you're experiencing the results of, not having as many clients coming in, not having the conversations, at a pace that feels comfortable, and the revenue and all that kind of stuff. Similarly, messaging paralysis. So you could be in a place where you're just second guessing yourself all the time. And that's just causing a lot of slowdown in terms of just what you're trying to communicate and how frequently you're putting it out there. And then that all results in just stalls in your revenue, right? So because of a lack of being out there, doing the marketing, following up with people, all the things, you're seeing the impact on your bottom line. So that's no fun, right? And so that it sort of creates this self-fulfilling cycle, right? It's like, because of that, then you see this sort of tangible evidence of what the shame is producing in your business, and then that just makes you feel worse, right? So that's why we have to get out of this. So I want to give you some ideas, some ways on how to shift out of the shame, okay? So first of all, rewrite your further along narrative. I should be further along narrative. Let's rewrite this. This is an opportunity to go back into your vision of success, your definition of success, and rewrite what that looks like, okay? And recognizing that, of course, there are so many varied paths into this version of success, and it's only you can define that. Only you know what that will be for yourself. It has nothing to do with what anybody else is doing. So rewriting that, and literally, when I say rewrite, I mean like literally create some time for yourself to write that down in your journal, or if you like to type on your computer, it doesn't matter. Just getting those thoughts out of your head, out of your heart, and down onto paper or screen, so that it makes it more tangible. It's something that gives you something to reference back to. The next time you hear that thought, I should be further along, I want you to practice replacing it with, I'm learning what works for me. I'm learning what works for me. Okay, so the purpose here is to take the pressure off. All right, so that's tip number one. Tip number two is to kind of separate out what you know that you're already good at doing, and the idea of being like good at what you do from knowing how to market yourself. Because again, marketing, unless you're a marketer, marketing, it's such a complex, multifaceted activity, element, aspect of your business that, there's just a lot to know. And even if you are in marketing, even if you are a marketing professional, marketing for your own business, as I mentioned, for the reasons I mentioned previously, is difficult. So just separating out those two things, because that can help you to realize, like, well, if it's a marketing issue, that's not a reflection of your expertise as whatever service that you're providing for your clients, right? It's just a separate skill set, and it can also help you to start to identify where in marketing could you use some more support, right? Sometimes when we're feeling those big feelings of overwhelm, shame, anger, exhaustion, like all of that, they're just so big that it helps to kind of dive into them and start to piece out what is really involved in all of that for you, so that you can start to see where specifically you could use some support around that, and where you might already have some support in place and can lean into that. Okay? So just look at marketing when it comes to marketing and messaging development, all that kind of stuff. It's just part of your professional development. It's not an evidence of like you're good or bad, you passed or failed. Okay. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is to focus on momentum, just being in motion. This is such a critical, a critical part of success in business. And when I say that, I say those words, and I mean success in terms of, for most people, just the idea of movement forward, progress, right? So focus on the momentum and not having to get it all figured out, right? Like nobody has it all figured out, but how you do figure out more of the things that are important to you and that are having impact on your business is to be in motion. So momentum. And that it means showing up instead of that contraction, showing up, continuing to put yourself out there, surrounding yourself with other people who are also in motion and momentum. That's going to really help. So from a practical standpoint, what can that look like for you, especially when it comes to marketing and this whole idea of like, I should be further along in my business? That could be like putting one post out there. It could be making one connection, one follow up. Just think about like those tiny steps that just will take you. It's like a step forward, right? So those are some ideas on how to shift out of the shame. Okay. So like I said, I have felt this. I go through cycles of business shame, and I've been in business for myself for 19 years. And so I've definitely had these periods of business shame, and absolutely thinking like, wow, I should be further along than I am right now. And so this is as helpful as helpful as it is for me, as I hope it is for you, just to, again, talk about this, normalize this, this feeling that's very present for a lot of people at different points, and yet we don't talk about it enough. So toward that end, I want to invite you to share with me your thoughts about business shame. Have you experienced this? I'm assuming if you clicked on this topic, yes, you've probably felt this to some degree. There's something about this that resonated with you that caused you to show up here and listen in on this. So tell me about that. Put that in the comments and let me know where you have experienced business shame, or what has helped you move out of that downward spiral. And if you want further help on this, if you're in that place right now, I definitely encourage you can send me a direct message, you can email me and let me know about what's going on with your situation. And we can talk about where I can support you in that. Okay? So again, important topic. I appreciate you being here to be a part of this conversation, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.